Good evening, 8:10 p.m. in Banjul. This is GRTS News. First, the headlines. President Barrow urges civil servants to prioritize the implementation of the Gambia's National Development Blueprint. The Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs leads a high-level government delegation to the inauguration of the new Liberian President, George Weah. Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service, Habib Drame, presides over the launching of a multi-million-dollar eco-based adaptation project. Senior members of the South Africa's ruling ANC party say they have discussed President Jacob Zuma's future as head of state. These and many more coming ahead in this hour. I am Issa Jallo. The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, has urged civil servants to prioritize the effective and timely implementation of the National Development Plan, which is his government's blueprint for the socio-economic and political transformation of the Gambia. The Gambian leader was speaking Tuesday at the State House, where he met high-ranking government officials and heads of departments and agencies for the first time. As we hear in this report by Momodi Jallo, the President was unequivocal in his calls for all hands on deck to improve the lives of Gambians, warning that it cannot be business as usual as far as efficiency, discipline and hard work in the civil service are concerned.
This meeting was convened by the Executive to discuss the implementation of the Gambia National Development Plan, which is government's blueprint that seeks to deliver good governance, accountability and economic well-being of Gambians. Addressing the permanent secretaries, their deputies and the heads of government departments and agencies, the Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service, Habib Drame, said this government is committed to improving service delivery to meet the expectations of the Gambian people.
Even as we drive to improve the way we work, we must appreciate the urgency with which we need to deliver to the Gambian people. We will therefore be reviewing the broader goals of the National Development Plan against His Excellency's stated policy priority sectors to ensure alignment and coordination across government.
The Minister of Tourism and Culture, Hamad Nkeba, described the meeting as highly significant, as it would provide common ground for the executive and the civil service to work together on delivering what he called the dividends of democracy. Mr. Ba, however, warned civil servants against corruption, inefficiency and dishonesty, saying the President and his government expect civil servants to deliver results.
Some habits must change. The Gambians deserve better. As the President said, to be in public service is a noble task. It's a task that you look for nobility. We cannot accept the corruption of the past. We cannot accept the practices of the past. We must project, act, behave in a better manner than what we had before, and that was the reason why Gambians voted for a change.
The officials in return reaffirmed their commitment to work as read out in this pledge.
We pledge to take responsibility of our actions and commit to perform our job efficiently and effectively to the highest standard of quality.
The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, minced no words when addressing the civil servants, saying that after a year at the helm, he has had enough insights into the working of this important government machinery. Whilst he acknowledged that the civil service was politicized and poured of its experts and technocrats under the past regime, his government has undertaken decisive steps to sanitize the service and remove all artificial barriers. He therefore warned that it cannot be business as usual as far as the implementation of the National Development Plan is concerned.
We need to understand that
No progress can be made in developing our country if we continue to conduct business as usual. Change needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. Let us therefore take charge of our destiny and make this country a better place for generations to come. Under my administration, the artificial barrier to the application of human creativity and inspiration to service delivery has been completely removed. What we now have is a public service environment with a clear vision and what that encourages critical thinking, collaboration, and positive engagement. In this new Gambia, therefore, we must put all hands on deck to restore the civil service back to its former glory.
The President added that his government will monitor performance henceforth to ensure that the plan is implemented effectively and efficiently.
There will be quarterly performance review starting this quarter. My expectation is that the sectors will report on the state of implementation of the National Development Plan to determine our performance. Along this line, the month of April will be dedicated to review the implementation of the National Development Plan, and all official travels will be curtailed to the minimum during this month.
The meeting will reconvene early next month to allow discussions and dialogue between the two sides. This meeting is seen as a turning point in the relationship between the executive branch and the civil service, which remains a critical pillar of government. Mamoudou Diallo, GRTS News.
A high-powered government delegation headed by the Vice President and Minister for Women's Affairs, Aja Fatoumata Jallow Tambajang, were among a host of African leaders that attended the inauguration ceremony of the newly elected Liberian President George Weah. Babukar Kamal reports.
A wave of gratitude with a 7-gun salute marks the birth of a new transition in Liberia's democracy. Present at the colorful event before a jam-packed stadium was Her Excellency the Vice President and Minister for Women Affairs, Aja Fatoumata Jallow Tambajang, representing the Gambian leader, on a process that has been absent for almost 7 decades in Liberia, a history pointing to its 24th president, George Weah.
And I say, my people, thank you, Yah. Thank you, Yah, for entrusting me with the responsibility of leading the effort to build this new and better Liberia.
Weah succeeded Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who came into power in 2006, inheriting a massive political, economic, and civil uncertainty, despite which he was able to secure a $5 billion debt relief and maintain peace. But what will be the focus of Liberia's new president?
In the famous words of President Abraham Lincoln of the United States of America, the government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
George Weah has been widely acclaimed as the greatest African player of all times. And until his election as Liberia's president, Weah was a Senate member that defeated incumbent Vice President Joseph Boakai in the 2017 elections under the Coalition for Democratic Change ticket. Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
The Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service on Tuesday presided over the launching of the ecosystem-based adaptation project. The more than $20 million project is funded by the Green Climate Fund, and it is meant to build the climate resilience of rural communities. Khadija Tujala reports.
The large-scale ecosystem-based adaptation project is aimed at addressing the negative impacts of climate change on local communities that are highly dependent on natural resources for their livelihoods. A representative of the Green Climate Fund, Osman Jaju, hailed the government of the Gambia for the collaborative efforts that resulted in the attainment of this project.
I would like to thank the government of the Gambia and the UN environment for working very closely with the Green Climate Fund
to make this a reality, to address the current and projected risks around the River Gambia. This is a broad and far-reaching initiative. It will restore agricultural landscapes.
The United Nations Environment Programme representative who coordinates the Green Climate Fund, Imera Fida, said the project will, among other things, improve water quality, increase soil fertility, and enhance biodiversity. The Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, Lamin Diba, highlighted the benefits of the ecosystem-based adoption large-scale project and the mechanisms in place for its successful implementation.
And the most interesting thing is this. We want to create natural resource entrepreneurs. We want people to see resources, these natural resources, as an asset that they can use to leverage economic development at household level, but also at community levels and at a wider spectrum at national level. And I think with this project we will be able to do it. And I would want to assure you that proper monitoring and evaluation mechanisms will be in place.
In his launching statement, Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service, Habib Drame, lamented the adverse effects of climate change in the country.
Statistics have shown that the Gambia has lost about 97,000 hectares of forest cover in the last decade alone. This corresponds to an average annual loss of 2.3% of forest cover. What is more disturbing is the fact that human-induced causes such as massive illegal logging, encroachments by human settlement, expansions and unsustainable agricultural practices, to name a few, are ultimately responsible for these damages.
Secretary General Drame urged the ministry and its implementing partners to be steadfast, transparent and efficient in managing the project funds.
I am also made to understand that the project is the first of its scale to be funded by the Global Climate Fund. Thus, this accords a special significance to the launch of this project this afternoon.
Other speakers included Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, the UN Country Coordinator. Both hailed the importance of the project in complementing efforts in addressing the effects of climate change. The large-scale ecosystem-based adoption project is expected to benefit more than 11,000 Gambian households in the Upper River Region, Central River Region, and Lower River Region. Khadijatu Jallo, reporting for GRTS News.
Tuesday's sitting of the Janneh Commission saw Ibrahim Masala, Managing Director of Trust Bank, Degen Yang of TK Export, Fatim Baji, and former Finance Minister Musa Balagay giving their testimonies before Commission members. Marima Balde reports.
Former Finance Minister Musa Balagay began the day's proceedings at the Janneh Commission investigating the financial dealings of former President Yahya Jammeh. His comeback to the Commission shed more light on the current inquiry into the repurchase of the 50% of Gamtel Gamsal shares from Spectrum.
This document shows that it was intended to be signed by two people, Musa Balagay and Ali Yusuf Sharara, dated November 14, 2008, and seems to relate to the repurchase of 50% of Gamtel Gamsel shares from Spectrum. It was only, however, signed by one person, which is yourself, I think, Musa Balagay.
Yes, I mean, I have seen the letter. It is true, I mean, I have signed it. I have been directed to offer a settlement to Spectrum on the shares that Spectrum, has bought from Gamtel Gamshell, and the contract was terminated. This was the beginning of a process of negotiation for, Spectrum to repurchase the shares.
Those inquiries paved the way for former Information Minister Fatim Badji's second appearance to testify. The former Information Minister outlined her role in the Gamtel and Spectrum Gateway contract.
Can you tell us what your role was in this matter of Spectrum and Gambia government and the sale of the shares, as well as the Orators Gateway Agreement?
When I joined the Ministry of Communications in 2008, March, I found some issues regarding the network at Gamtel, Gamcel, the lack of investment, and also some firing of the initial management of Gamtel, Gamcel staff. Matters were brewing, and a report was brought to our attention at the ministry. And when the matter was brought to me, I decided to post an investigative team, including the Attorney General, and we also included Gamtel, Gamcel management at that time. We tried to elaborate on the agreement areas that were being breached, such as the services.
First Bank's Managing Director, Ibrahim Sala, also made a comeback to the Commission, which wanted to know more about the KGI accounts.
Subject to freezing order. There was a balance of $32,350.60 butus that remained frozen. Total credits in this account is $482,550.64.
Dalasi or dollars?
It's a Dalasi account.
Degen Nyan closed the day's hearing at the Jani Commission. Sittings continue tomorrow. Reporting for the news, I am Mariama Balde.
The Gambia Police Force have begun a countrywide sensitization tour on good policing and democracy. The program, organized by the Community-Based Policing Unit at the police headquarters in Banjul, is aimed at sensitizing the public on community policing and democracy in the Gambia. Khadija Juwara reports.
At the opening ceremony, Officer Commanding Community-Based Police Superintendent Lamin Jaite said desensitization is a new strategy advocated by the police force in order to interact with the community and share ideas with members of the community. He noted that ensuring peace and stability should be a priority for everyone.
Policing in general is out for information sharing, and that information normally is we get that information from members of the community. So leaving behind members of the community in the policing is not a sustainable way of policing. The only way that can move this country is through going out, reaching members of the community, sharing with them their concerns, security concerns, and that will help us in our drive to ensure peace in this country.
For Mr. Jaite, addressing a better policing service in the country should not only be based on information sharing, but getting a reasonable information from the community equally helps to ensure peace in the country. The Assistant Superintendent of Police, Lamin Badji, underscored the importance of peace and stability for any meaningful development. He noted that many misinterpret the true concept of democracy, which is leading unacceptable behaviors in the country.
My advice to the general public is the Gambia Police Force is here for everybody. The Gambia Police Force is here to make sure that this country is secure. Is here to make sure that this country gets to where it's supposed to get to in terms of security.
Badji further advised the public to practice discipline for the promotion of peace in the country. For his part, Abdullah Everybody Mbai urged the public to safeguard the rule of law. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tujuwara.
We will be back with the sports news after the break. Welcome back. Saturday's final at Serakunda Central Park saw BK Central beating Talibi FC 5-4 on post-match penalty shootout to win the Grand Trophy. The two teams played out a goalless stalemate after 90 minutes. Modura Misana reports.
Traveling BK Central have won the Serekunda Central League final. The 3 times champions of the area defeated Talalbi 5-4 on post-match penalty shootout to win the grand finale. These two sides played out a goalless draw in the 90 minutes that produced few chances. Both sides failed to capitalize, and with the game failing to produce a winner in regulation time, they went to settle matters on post-match penalty shootout. This was the 3rd time BK Central are winning the competition.
This game was very important to me, you understand, because we were preparing for this game for almost several days ago, you understand. So we prepared it. This place is our place, and this cup is owned by us. So this is not the first time we are winning this trophy.
We are unfortunate. That's the day. We've just been on penalties on 2 occasions and we lost. So we take it with good faith and try to build up.
With the football season ending here, next on the agenda of the committee is to develop the infrastructure.
We want the GFF, the Minister of Sports, the National Sport Council to look at this zone. If you look at the kids around this zone here, this area is densely populated, but there is no fence in the field, and there are talented footballers in the area here. We started our Nawetan tournament. We have no sponsor. Nobody has donated anything to us except the Minister of Agriculture, which we really appreciated.
The fanfare here indicated an exciting moment for players and fans of BK Central. Reporting for GRTS Sports, I am Modula Minsane.
We will pause for a second time, but when we come back, we'll bring you the international news. Welcome back. South Africa's ruling African National Congress has confirmed it has discussed President Jacob Zuma's future as head of state. Earlier, the party denied reports that Zuma's future was on the agenda at a meeting of its top decision makers this weekend. CGTN's Ulysses Jamila has more.
Future in government remains uncertain. The governing ANC can only confirm that it is still seized with this matter and that its top 6 officials are dealing with it. ANC Secretary General Isma Khashule announced in a media briefing on Monday afternoon that there are no timelines or deadlines that have been put for Zuma to resign.
We have not arrived at a decision that Zuma must go or Zuma must not go. It is you, the media, who says Zuma must go, or people playing the space, social media. We are discussing, we are an organization and we discuss our own matters. And I don't think we are dictated by anybody how to deal with internal matters of the ANC.
The party's new leader, Cyril Ramaphosa, will lead interaction with Zuma about his possible departure. Ramaphosa, South Africa's deputy president, is presumed Zuma's successor.
This matter was discussed in the National Executive Committee, and the matter was still left with the officials because it's a matter of interaction, and President Jacob Zuma and President Ramaphosa are actually talking about the coordination between Lutuli and government. And that's where the matter is. So the matter is with us. There isn't any rumor or any decision taken to remove Comrade Zuma.
Zuma's presidential tenure has been dogged by corruption allegations. He's consistently denied all of them. At least one political analyst believes that the ANC is best placed to deal with Zuma's future without delay.
The truth is that the ANC need to realize Zuma's liability going into elections, but not just elections. Even taking Zuma to, allowing Zuma to read the State of the Nation address, that itself, it must be a concern for them, because they are asking themselves, will he be disrupted? Are people going to raise concerns about some of the court decisions that have been made so far since he last delivered the State of the Nation?
The rand has rallied since Ramaphosa's ANC leadership victory in December. Investors seem confident that he will deal with corruption and implement policy reforms. The party recognizes that its image has been tainted over the past few years. The party's National Executive Committee is intent on ensuring that the ANC regains the trust of South Africans and reclaims what they call moral authority. They say they recognize that the party's image has been tarnished by corruption allegations and that it needs to clean it. Yulisan Jamela, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
China's ties with the World Economic Forum go way back, and over the years China has played a bigger role in the annual gathering, mostly due to its rising economic status and positions in the global economy. The importance of a shared future for the benefit of all is something that Chinese President Xi Jinping has consistently stressed in his speeches. Let's take a look at this report.
China will continue to play its part as a major and responsible country, take an active part in reforming and developing the global governance system, and keep contributing Chinese wisdom and strength to global governance. The future of the world rests in the hands of the people of all countries. The future of mankind hinges on the choices they make. We are ready to work with the people of all other countries to build a community with a shared future for mankind, and create a bright tomorrow for all of us. We should build the Belt and Road into a road of prosperity. Development holds the master key of all the problems. In pursuing the Belt and Road Initiative, we should focus on the fundamental issue of development, release the growth potential of various countries, and achieve economic integration and interconnected development, and deliver benefits to all.
And before we take leave of you, we take a recap of today's main stories. President Barrow has urged civil servants to prioritize the implementation of the Gambia's National Development Blueprint. The Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs has led a high-level government delegation to the inauguration of the new Liberian President, George Weah. Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service, Habib Dramé, has presided over the launching of a multi-million-dollar ecosystem-based adaptation project. Senior members of the South Africa's ruling ANC party said they have discussed President Jacob Zuma's future as head of state. That was all in this edition of the 10 o'clock news. Thanks for the company of your pleasure. I am Isa Jallo, and have a peaceful and pleasant night.
Thank you.